There's a specific kind of silence that exists in a crowded room.
The kind that hums
beneath the weight of forced laughter.
the clinking of glasses,
The empty
exchanged
words
between people
who pretend to matter to one another. I've always hated it. It's the sound of deception, a facade stretched thin over fragile egos. Tonight, I stand at the edge of the chaos,
watching my wife
as she floats effortlessly through her office party, her smile curated for every passing glance. She looks radiant as always, untouchable. I sip my drink and let the bourbon settle on my tongue. Let the burn remind me that I am here, that I exist beyond the role of her husband. And then he approaches. A man I don't know, sharper smirk. He carries himself with the arrogance of someone who has never had to fear the consequences of his actions. You're Olivia's husband, right? He says, his voice soaked in amusement. I've heard so much about you. There's something in the way he says it. Annoying gleam in his eyes. A private joke. He isn't letting me in on. I don't respond. I just watch him. I learned long ago that silence unsettles men more than words ever could. And I was right. Because after a beat, he chuckles low and condescending. He leans in just slightly and mutters, "Bet you don't know half the things I do." He walks away before I can respond. And just like that, the world tilts. The words don't leave me. They linger, slither beneath my skin like a parasite, whispering all the possibilities I don't want to entertain. I watch Olivia from across the room. Watch the way she laughs a little too freely at his jokes. The way he touches the small of her back when he leans in. It's subtle, practiced. The kind of intimacy that doesn't belong between mere coworkers. And then I know. For a moment, there's only silence in my mind. A vast, endless void where rage should be. Betrayal is an interesting thing. It doesn't always come as an explosion. It can be quiet, surgical. A knife slid delicately between your ribs without you realizing, until you take your last breath. I don't confront her. Not yet. Confrontation is for men who need closure. I don't need closure. I need something else. Something that will last that night. As Olivia sleeps beside me, I stare at the ceiling and make my choice. Revenge isn't about anger. It's about balance. And I intend to correct the scales. I start small. A message sent from her phone while she's in the shower, testing his reaction. A call overheard from the hallway. A glance at her calendar, at the hotel reservations under her name. It's easy, really. People like them think they are careful. They aren't. They only assume they are because no one has ever taken the time to study like them. I have. By the end of the week, I know everything. There's a shift within me. The anger dissolves, replaced by something colder, more precise. It's not about hurting them. It's about undoing them. Step by step, I set the stage. A few carefully placed emails sent to from an anonymous source exposing their workplace misconduct. Financial records leaked to suggest corporate fraud. Enough to warrant an investigation. Just enough to stain reputations beyond repair. A scheduled dinner between Olivia, her boss, and an investor, interrupted by a video message that arrives mid-meal. A message featuring her and him caught in places they shouldn't be. By the time the storm hits, I'm already watching from a distance. It unravels spectacularly. He is fired within the week. His name dragged through the mud. His career, a carefully built empire of charm, burned to nothing. Olivia. She pleads, swear she didn't mean for any of it to happen. But it doesn't matter. The damage is done. I don't yell. I don't throw accusations. I just watch her as realization dawns in her eyes. That quiet, creeping horror. As she understands that she hasn't just lost me. She's lost everything. The night before she leaves, she stands in the doorway, tears staining her cheeks. Why? She asks, voice raw. You could have just walked away. I meet her gaze, unflinching. Because you should have known who you were dealing with. She breaks. I don't. As she walks out of my life, I sit in the quiet and take a deep breath. Vengeance isn't always about destruction. Sometimes, it's about reminding people that actions have weight, that choices have consequences, that respect is never something to be taken for granted. I pour myself another drink, let the silence settle, and for the first time in a long while, I feel at peace. Tell me, would you have done any different?